Turkey came out with a statement, and Turkey made it quite clear that, hey, this is going to be a fight where we're going to possibly see Bud Crawford fight Canelo. We knew that was the big hyped up thing as long as Bud won the fight. Well, Bud won that fight, certainly. So, therefore, was it going to be Bud versus Canelo? And what we end up seeing is that, well, things apparently did not go well. And the past few days has been flooded with, to say the least, a heated back and forth between Turkey and Canelo Alvarez. And so here's what we're going to pull up right now. I'm going to bring it right up on the screen. This is the first original tweet that Turkey made just a couple days ago. All right. And it reads this: just wrapped up an important meeting now with my team planning for the upcoming fights that we will make for 2024, 2025. I decided to disregard the Canelo fight as I don't want it anymore. Instead, I will be focusing for the U.S. market with bigger fights, especially for the legend Crawford. Additionally, I will support making fights for Boots, Haney, Shakur, Ortiz, Anderson, Benavidez, Zepeda, and more. Regarding Tim Tszyu, there's something unclear with the communication from his team with our team, so I believe I will reconsider his situation, and for the rest of the world, definitely, I am focused on Riyadh season card, Wembley edition, 21st September, AJ versus Dubois, which obviously is going to be a mega fight then. And depending on the result of that, and depending on the results of the Riyadh season's opening card, Bivol versus Beterbiev, on the 12th of October, I will build the card for the rematch of Fury versus Usyk on the 21st of December, and another big card on the first quarter of 2025. Stay tuned. So right at the gate, right then and there, we see that, well, the big hyped up fight, Crawford versus Canelo, is over with for now, at least. And I'll say I agree. I'm thankful this happened. I alluded to it before. I said at the end of the day, Crawford, Bud has earned his rights. He's a legend. First ballot, nothing's going to change anything about how we view Bud, especially if he loses that fight. Who cares? As long as he's mentally okay and whatnot and comes out healthy or whatnot. But, he's earned the right to do it. After that fight, though, I think a lot of people can be in agreement that he probably should stay at 154 for a little bit and maybe try to go become undisputed. And it looks like that's the path, and I love that. I fully support that. I love that idea, quite frankly. Now, in terms of other things about that stadium, I'll just sidetrack off of real quick. A lot of big names, a lot of big fights. We know he's going to keep putting on big cards. I will be a little bit surprised about one aspect. I know he said and more when he listed out the names, but I'm a little surprised we didn't see Bam Rodriguez in there. That's a guy that I think, he just had his first mega fight, became another champion in Arizona at the Sun Stadium Foothill. And so I think that's a big time thing that we see him now developing, and we see his name growing, how big he's becoming. But seeing Bam Rodriguez on a Saudi card, Riyadh season card in the future is something I would have expected. I'm kind of like I said, I'm a little bit surprised he didn't mention him on this group, but I would hope that we do see Bam on one of these massive cards in the future, because he is one of the biggest stars up and coming in the entire game of boxing. He is a true superstar. He is one of the pound for pound greats, and he is spectacular and entertaining to watch. So in that one regard, the other thing I'd say is that if we didn't notice there, the thing that caught my eye as a Deontay Wilder fan is that he didn't mention Wilder's name at all. And it makes sense. Don't get that twisted. What I'm saying is that we all know the rumors. Is he officially done? Is he moving on to retiring? Based upon that statement, Wilder would have been one of the headline names he would have mentioned there, being the fact that he's already been on 2 cards as well. So I think we can start to draw a conclusion that possibly Wilder's career is coming to a conclusion now. All right. So that's great news and all that. And he makes this thing, another statement about Canelo being over with. All right. So, well, what do we get after this? Well, here's what happens. We then see this response comes out of Canelo's team, right? And so we know this back and forth. Canelo's preparing for his fight. He's had a whole lot of media stuff over the past couple weeks now. And the exact tweet, and I'll only put up on your guys' screen, just getting it loaded here, that Canelo then spoke on behalf of Turkey is this right here. I'm not asking for that fight. I think Teofimo Lopez deserves it more than me. My response to Turkey is this. Yesterday, they texted me to talk about the Crawford fight in February. I said, I'm not going to talk about any other fight. I'm focused 100% on this, which is the Edgar Berlanga fight. I respect Turkey, but if he wants to work with me, it needs to be my way. All right. So he makes that response. I will say this in regards to that. There's 2 guys that's now publicly gone against what Turkey's trying to do. That's Canelo Alvarez and that's Tank Davis. Canelo, I can understand where he's at in his career. The truth is that we talked about this a couple episodes ago. Canelo's an all-time great. He can do whatever the heck he wants. It's up to him to decide if he still wants to be perceived as that top-level guy, though. But, if he doesn't want these big fights, so be it. He also is one of the wealthiest boxers to ever live. So he is set financially. Money is not going to matter if it impacts his legacy. Like, he's going to choose what he wants. The Tank one I'm a little bit more surprised about. That's a topic for another day, though. So odds are now being appearing that we're not going to see Canelo fighting Crawford anytime soon, at least on a Riyadh card. Then Turki comes back with another statement, though. And in this statement, Turki says this then. I heard what Canelo said, that he respects me but doesn't like the way we do business. As for him respecting me, it doesn't matter to me if he does or not. As for the way I do business, I know why he doesn't like it. Because I only target big fights at fair prices. So, of course, anyone who likes easy fights won't like that. And I know how he feels after losing to Bivol. So, he's been looking for easier fights ever since. Also, I'm not the one who's afraid of fighting Benavidez or Crawford. Therefore, I knew he was wasting our time and making excuses with big amounts of money that can't be paid. So I'm continuing my way to make big fights that serve the boxing world, and he's on his way to making easy show only fights. Yeah. That's quite the statement to make. Obviously didn't expect Turki to start firing back like that, but so be it. I'm not going to have a problem with it. At the end of the day, they can go back and forth. It is what it is. Obviously, the Canelo fight's not happening now with Crawford. I think it honestly works out fine as well for everybody involved. So we are no longer going to have that. However, I will say this once again. What Turki is doing that some people want to give him credit for or not. Obviously, Canelo fans aren't going to like what I'm going to say and whatnot. But the truth is that boxing was in a dead period for a very long time. This can be proven by countless aspects when you look at the ratings and whatnot. Boxing was in a dead period. Big fights were not being made. There was 1 or 2 big fights every year, maybe 3, whatever you want to call it, per year. There were a lot of bad fights being made over the past decade or so. He's come into the business now, and he put together 4 fights last night that were considered massive fights, or last weekend that were considered massive fights. That's not even including what he did June 1st. That's not even including what he did in the AJ versus Francis fight. That's not even including what he did in the Undisputed fight. That's not even including what he did December 23rd card. That's not including what he also did to start it all off with Francis versus Fury. He's making big fights happen. He's making fights that people want to see, that are entertaining, that are exciting, and he's making championship fights happen. Something that generations before, back in the, anytime except for like 2010-ish time on, people were just accustomed to. Big fights happen. You could go almost every Saturday and have big fights going on. There were mega stuff happening. Championship belts going down. The best of the best fighting each other. That was not the case. The Deontay Wilder-Tyson Fury fight was so massive and mega because of the gravity of having those 2 heavyweight champions battle it out. That was why that was so big, and we didn't have a lot of that going on. We couldn't get an undisputed heavyweight champion until Turki came into play. So when he says that, yeah, all we want is big fights. He does not want, little side fights, little developmental fights. He doesn't want those little just sideshow things. He wants big fights to happen time and time again. And so if you're not a part of that, he wants no business doing that. And I respect that because that is fixing boxing. It is making it entertaining. It's what we want. It's making the belts move around quicker. It's making undisputed fights happen. And the best are going with it. So if people want to be a part of that, then great. If they're not going to be a part of that, Canelo doesn't need to be a part of it. He's older, obviously. He's in his own lane. Whatever he wants to do, he can do. I'm going to make that clear. But in terms of all these other guys, this next generation up and coming, by all means, this is the way to go. And that's why I said I'd love to see if we can get Inoue in there. We can see Bam get in there. We want to see these mega fights happen. He's the only guy that can make that happen right now. So major props there.